Tonight's second place finisher. Plenty of fans here, Brett, and a solid second place finish.
Yeah, I got to shout out the Turn 2 Terribles over there. They're all a bunch of good guys to hang out with, talk to. I really like them.
What's going on? Turn two terribles here. What's going on? I'm Jimmy. This is Chris. This is Jeremy. We are the Turn Two Terribles. Thank you everyone for checking us out. Whether it's your first time or a long time fan, we appreciate every single one of you. If you don't know who we are, and this is your first time watching, we are the Turn Two Terribles. We are, basically just sprint car fans in Central PA that basically love to hear themselves talk about it.
Right. Bunch of race fans, passionate about it. We don't always know everything, but we try. Jeremy?
That was well said, Chris. Listen, he's a man of
Nailed
many
it.
words. The name derived. This is really Chris and Jimmy's brainchild a little bit, and they wanted to get this going. And I started as a guest and kind of became more of a regular player here, and it's been a ton of fun. And this really derived from we hang out in Turn Two at Port Royal. When we're there as fans, we were in Turn Two, and it started as Turn Two Terribles, and raising a little bit of hell, having a whole lot of fun, and getting run over to victory lane and yell at Brett Perrigo about the posse, or yell at the Outlaws that the posse won again, and asking World of Outlaw officials on golf carts if they've seen any of the Outlaws lately, or whatever it is. We have a lot of fun with it, and
I didn't have a hand in any of that.
allegedly, this is what I heard. So that's kind of what Turn Two Terribles derived from. We have a heck of a crew that shows up, and sometimes it's only a couple people, and sometimes there's 20 people. So, we have connections with iRacing a little bit. It's kind of how we all even know each other. This group here turned into real race fans here in Pennsylvania, and directionally, podcast wise, we've done a little bit of this summer was a little NASCAR, some iRacing, some dirt, and what we want to do here at some point was probably split this up a little bit and have some dirt content, and then maybe some NASCAR / iRacing. iRacing may play a part in all of them a little bit, just because we all know each other from that. That's kind of our roots.
Yep.
But tonight, episode 2 of our interview series, we're gonna have Troy Wagaman Jr. and Jaden Wolf. A lot to talk about, a lot of fun here to hopefully to be had. And hey, subscribe, guys. Follow along with the podcast. Going to be up. Jimmy, talk about what's coming. Where we're going to be streamed. Where can you find all this?
Oh, you can check us out on Facebook. You could check us out on Twitch. You could check us out on YouTube, obviously, right now. But then also after, we'll be putting these interviews and these episodes up on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and Pandora. Anywhere you could find podcasts, we're pretty much going to be on. We're really spreading our wings out here and trying to get it out to every single distributor, basically, that we can. So it wouldn't be possible without you guys listening and checking us out. Please, again, make sure you like and subscribe to follow along. See all the exciting stuff that we have going on in the future. We're very lucky to be able to talk to awesome drivers and crew members around here in PA, where basically it's sprint cars are king, and we probably have the best drivers and crew in the world, in this world of sprint car racing. So we're very lucky to be in the position that we are, and we wouldn't be able to be in that position without you guys having an interest as well and checking us out. So please make sure you keep checking us out in the future.
Right, and with that, also stay tuned on Instagram, Facebook for the page, and Twitter for updates. We have more guests next week with links to last week with Kyle Keene and Brett Strickler. They were great interviews. Tonight's probably be with Troy and Jaden here. Can be equally as great. Focus on those, especially with the race season. There's going to be a lot of cool pictures coming in, a lot of cool content. So, yeah, follow those and like those too.
Absolutely. All right, we're done talking. We're going to bring on our first guest. Main reason why people are probably here. We're going to bring on Troy Wagaman
They're not here for us.
Jr.
Wait. They're
I
not
don't
here
know
to
about
talk.
that.
I mean,
They're not here for us.
Maybe
we
a
were
little
just trying
bit.
to help. We're trying to boost Troy up a little bit.
We're here because we're fans of guys like Troy Wagaman Jr. Troy, welcome on to the show. Thank you for joining us so much. How you doing?
Oh, hanging in there. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Absolutely.
What's up, buddy? How are you this evening?
I'm pretty good. Changed a lot in the last hour since I've seen you.
I know, right? I feel like we've never left.
I know you had that beautiful brand new truck. Didn't even have the tag off the side yet.
Oh,
No, you can't take. It's always advertising when you're driving.
Yeah, that's your type of field.
Yes, sir.
So, Troy, thanks again for joining us. We're just going to talk a little bit about your racing career up to now, your season this past year, and what's going on in the future. So, tell
So,
us. Go ahead.
yeah, man. So, give us a little bit of background on you. So, fans that are tuning in, that they're probably all here to see Jaden later, not you, but
Of
you know,
course.
um,
I'm not just a
tell us a
washed up
little bit
pretend
about your
driver.
background. Yeah, exactly. Washed up for sure. Never quite. It didn't hit his peak yet, or didn't hit his peak
Jeez.
already, right? So,
Yeah.
a little bit about your background, man. Where'd you get started? How I think fans know your name. I think we talked about this a little bit earlier, actually, when I saw you. That I think people know, but they may not know the whole story if they just started watching 410 racing recently, or like, hey, who this white 19? There's no number. There's no sponsors on this thing. Why this guy's running up front? Like, who? So, give us a little bit about your background, man. What got you here?
Yeah, you can call me Wagaman. I usually get both across the board on that. But started go-karts when I was like 4 or 5 and did that for 4 or 5 years and won a WK championship in that. A couple of them, a lot of divisional titles. Traveled to like Indiana, Florida, North Carolina, and then did a year of micros. And when I was 11, I think, won 11 out of 22 races in that. And then I didn't race anything again until I was 17. So then we got into the 358s from there and did a couple years of that. Had a good struggled a little bit at first, and then I got with my uncle Wilbur Bechtel, and we got rolling there. We got 7 wins in 3 years, 1 at the Grove, 6 in Lincoln, and a lot of seconds at BAPS. Just can't quite win at that place. And then we moved up and moved to the 410s a couple years ago, right before COVID. And then we ran 2 races, bought a motor, blew it up 2 races in, and then missed a lot of racing, especially with COVID then. Kind of got delayed, and then really didn't get a full season until 2021, and it was still only 25 races. So really, we only have like 40, 410 races altogether. And then moving on to this year, I got to thank John Trone for giving me an opportunity to go run for 60 to 80 races and learn and see where we can go.
We're gonna get into that here in a minute. I'm sure that might be a hot topic of the week here. But so I want to go back a little bit here. Like watching you, I knew you even I think before you raced your first 358 race. Speedway 94 is where I met Troy. This young punk kid. That's today. You should have seen him back then.
Trophy.
Terrible.
Just trophy from that place, buddy. JZ, you got one of those?
I know. Look at me. Do I look like I could drive a go-kart fast? I mean,
I could
look at this
drive.
big.
I won that one time.
I have
Anyway,
one somewhere
carry-
around here, but
Carry on.
So
Finally had a reason to
I've known
have
you for a
it.
long time, and definitely, not that Speedway 94 is like an indication of anything, but you could tell you were different, and then the rest of us just bums out there driving around, and you were a guy that like, well, Troy's here, like, okay, who's going to run second, a lot of nights, and you had it figured out. So when I first watched you in the 358 and got going, and you kind of would go out there, and whether you start in the back of the race, and you kind of just rode around there, got laps, and it seemed like a progression of both your confidence and your program. I look back and you've never had tons of equipment extras laying around to
Yeah.
just go and junk a bunch of cars and come back the next week. So at the beginning of that, was it a combination of all of this of like, hey, I got to save my stuff and I got to learn, but how can you do both where you got to learn how to pass cars and save your equipment? So what was that process like?
It's just choose the right battles. When you're back there, you got to learn to pass, so you got to go for it. But if it's something stupid, it's not worth it. If it's 5 laps to go and you're running 17th, it ain't really worth it. But if you can get going early, just go for it. And it is what it is. My uncle's always told me we'll figure a way to put it back together. So, but we did only have enough and then a spares to get it on the trailer. Actually, our first night out, funny story is we went there, we had no spares. It was a race car, and that was it. If we junked it, it was just getting sat on the trailer. Good thing about an open trailer, you can just sit it on there. But we didn't have spares then, so it was what it was. But we went first night out, started fourth or eighth in the heat. I forget. We ended up winning the heat, started eighth in the feature, took the lead, and caution came out right as I took the lead, and the left side kick panel caught on fire from the backfire from the header. And all I'd do was step on the gas, it would have went out, but I pulled off. So first night out, we probably could have won, but a lot of little things like that. But yeah, you just choose the right battles when you have what you have, but when it comes down to it, you just got to go for it. It is what it is. But it was just a lot of learning. It's just so much that goes into it when you're out there. It all happens so fast.
So when you're that early in your career, how did you even know, like how did you have the maturity and the knowledge to say when that battle is? Like where did that just always come easy to you, or is that something you learned with the go-karting like early in days, or just from watching? Like some guys I think learn over time by making mistakes of like, okay, and you're gonna do that. I get that. But like how did you know in your first 358 season where that battle is the right battle?
I don't think it did. It was just like, it just happened naturally, I guess. Just be like, all right, well, I'm running 13th. There's 2 to go. There's no reason to shove my nose in for 12th. I'm not running for points. I got to run next week. So just kind of what went through my head when I was out there. Maybe it was not the smartest thing. Maybe it was, but it all worked out, I guess.
I mean, I think it helped definitely save equipment. You got to show up the next week. Their guys can take a lot of knowledge from that it's okay to not drive at 125% every single lap because you got to come back the next week if you don't have a lot of equipment. So I feel like your 410 kind of path went the same way. Would you call that accurate? Like, hey, learn to fight the right battles and save my equipment?
Yeah, when like 358s was like different. Like I was so fresh. I haven't run anything in like 6 years. So it was like learning the race in competition again. You didn't have bumpers around your cars like a go-kart or at Speed 194. So, but 410s was a little different. Like when you're in 358, you could rip the top and you probably have an open lane, or you could run the bottom and just roll around. But in 410s, it's like sharks in the water. Like everyone's everywhere. You miss the bottom, they're blowing your doors off. You roll through the middle, you got cars coming up the inside, outside. So you had to be really careful not to be in the wrong place at the wrong time if you didn't know what you were doing, because it could cause a lot of issues.
Um, so as your career, both in the 358s and the 410s, it's kind of funny watching it, like your confidence. It almost like I could see your confidence grow year to year to year, even if, in the background, you might've been improving your equipment and that helped you make you faster. But I feel like, that last year in the 358s, it was kind of like, okay, from the green flag to the checkered flag, you were on kill almost every night, going to pass cars, and you knew you could do it at the beginning. Then you go to a 410 and you kind of almost revert back to like, hey, survival, do my thing and learn. And now you're getting to that point again. I mean, is that like a strategy you kind of like said in your head, or you thought about like, hey, I got, this is a 3-year plan of going to win at that point?
No, it's just it clicked. The year before, we really dominated 358s. I won a championship at Lincoln. We didn't win a race. We might have won. No, we didn't win a race that year. It was just consistency. And then following year, that year we ran like 40 races. Like we had 2 motors, and just I could run every Friday, Saturday, and it was just like, all right, this is starting to click. And then that following year was like, all right, we're good. We're good every night. Like I can go from 8th to 1st in a heat race, no problem. And then kind of clicked. Like I said, we blew up that first year in 410s. I only got to run like twice. And then we ran 2 races to start 2020, and then COVID hit. So I was like 4 months, no racing, 3 months, whatever it was. And then that was a really big learning year. We learned a lot in the setup stuff. Like we had no idea. Like we didn't have anyone telling us what to do. Me and my uncle Will were figuring it out. And all of a sudden it clicked. and I was able to I don't know how to explain it, but it was like, wow, I can drive a race car again. And then I think it was 2021. I forget 2021 happened so fast, but this year it was probably we put a new car together. I wrecked the Outlaw show, and we were okay, but we put that new car together, and it was like the latest car we ever built, best stuff on it. And the first race out with it was the Stevie Smith race, and we ran third. The speed week we ran fifth. The second speed week we ran third. It was like, okay, now I'm up front racing with these good guys. It's totally different. Them guys are methodical. Like, you got to race every corner perfect, and learned a lot racing with them. And it was like, okay. And then come around August time, I started 10th, and then I fell back to 14th and drove to the win. So it was just like everything just started to click.
Talking a little bit before, you brought up the fact that, you guys were on an open trailer, and you're racing against these guys, the best of the best, that have these huge haulers and everything, and have the spare cars on them and everything. Did it give you a little extra confidence boost going out there, and you're running right with them, passing cars, going eighth to first in heat races, and you're out here, just running the damn thing, and not obviously running what everybody else was.
Yeah, there was that stretch like I was just talking about. We were pretty confident. Like, we had what the car liked, and it's what it liked, and we were rolling pretty good. And I felt like we could go last to first in a heat race, no problem. Like, the week we won, we started dead last in the heat, eighth to first, handicapped again, started 10th, came from 10th, dropped back to 14th, and came back to win. It was just like everything was good. But then you go back the next week with the same setup, I didn't even qualify. So it can be a kick in the balls some weeks, and some weeks you feel like a hero.
Going from there, and now you're going into the Trone 39 next year. It's probably going to be a little bit different. Is there, and you got to race a little bit last year in that car. What were the biggest differences that you've noticed, maybe right off the bat?
I was just motors. Right, he runs Ryder. I run Newman. Just a different torques, power, range. It just took a minute to get used to. And compared to my car, we had tons of left rear drive, and I wasn't used to that. I mean, there's a lot of little things that went into that. Just dialing it into what I was comfortable with, and what Kevin and my uncle could work together to get me more comfortable. But first night out, we went fifth quick, went out dead last, ran good, and then struggled a little bit, and then we got really good there. The last two races at Baps and Bridgeport I was up to third, battling with Danny for second, and then Bridgeport we ended up eighth. Never been there before, so that was a new experience. So just learning all the little things, and then this year being able to move around to different tracks is going to help a lot.
I noticed that you talked about the left rear drive a little bit, and I got some photos of some of
got
that left rear drive. Oh man, Alpha 2 in the bottom of Lincoln there.
Awesome
And
picture.
I never saw your other car do that, right? So it is amazing that you can have. There it is. That night was incredible. It was just lap after lap of like in that heat. Like, it was fast. Don't get me wrong. The car was it was a beast, but like I don't remember seeing the 19 do that top, bottom, middle anywhere before. So is that a challenge to drive, or is that just something you felt again you could just kind of just feel and adapt to quickly?
Yeah, I just had to adapt because like I ran hot laps and we were good, time trials good, and then that was just a totally different feel. I just had to figure it out because when you start up front like that, you got to win the heat in that format, or you're starting 12th instead of top 5. So you got to just figure it out and go, because you got guys coming from behind you because they all time. Like the fourth place guy, you don't want him to beat you because he's quick time, so he's just going to knock you out. So just something to adapt with and figure out the throttle and everything else, but it comes.
So tell me about, give me a race this past season that stands out in your memory about, like, I think you have enough confidence to know you can do this, but was there a race this season where you're like, oh, yeah, this is happening. I can do this. I can run with the best there is. Was there a moment that kind of like stood out to you that was like, oh, here, I think I'm here a little bit?
Two. One was the Tuesday speed week, Monday speed week at Lincoln when Larson was there. Started on the pole of the heat race, and he's starting right behind, and we were able to win that heat with him in that heat and pulled off. And they were like, yeah, you pulled away by a straightaway. So I was like, okay. And then redraw the front row with him, so we're side by side, and he got a start on me, and we were just rolling, and I was actually reeling him in coming to lap traffic. I was like, all right, this is going to get good. And then Brent drove by me like I was sitting still. But up until that point, I was like, oh, we'll be all right. But we still ended up running like third or fourth that night. And everyone's there for Speed Week. So I was like, okay. And even the Speed Week show before that, Saturday, we ran fifth. And then the week before was the Smith race. We ran third. And I think I led 4 or 5 laps of that thing. So that was also, that whole week was really big.
So during that time frame, I think you made a change. I could be completely off on this. Did you make a change mid-season with your shock package?
Yeah, actually, we wrecked at Lincoln with the Outlaw show. We weren't bad. We timed like 12, but then I wrecked in the heat. Didn't see the caution. It was on me. We're like, well, time to bring out the new car. And that time we had already ordered new True Bible shocks for FKs, and it seemed like the whole combination just came together and made a huge difference in stability, and it just everything was good from there on out. I mean, I think we had 2 or 3 seconds to win, 3 thirds, 3 fourths, 3 fifths, 2 sixths, to 7th and 8th. So it was like in a span of 10 races, I don't think we finished outside the top 10 until the Outlaws came in. We struggled a little bit, but then we got going again and got the win.
But yeah, and I thought that was the case. And I talk to you a lot, and I get to a little, I say a lot, but like little snippets here and there throughout the week and, or, throughout the course of the season. And it seemed like the timing was about right that, you made that change, and then all of a sudden the results just started being consistent, and you were like there every week, whether it was time trial show, draw show, you could pass cars, you move up into features. So, and you could run, I knew you like to run the top, but it looked like you could move the car anywhere you wanted most nights when you needed to and pass cars. And, I looked at the way you drive a race car. It always looks like it's under control. You got those guys who it hangs out and they're fast, but it's like they're on the edge of wrecking that thing. It seems like, at least as a spectator, every time. You're kind of like that quiet assassin a little bit, where like you're passing cars, but it doesn't look like you're in a hurry. I think that, especially at Lincoln, that I feel like that would be hard to do at Lincoln. Things happen really fast. So, like, what do you consider your driving style to be? Do you feel like you have one?
I guess the closest. I mean, I'm nowhere near what Donnie Schatz is, but something similar to that. Like I prefer to roll the bottom in the middle, but you got to rip the top, especially the way the cars are nowadays. Like, if you're not committed, you're not running the top wide open. I think that was the biggest thing that changed, was you just got to go. And if you're not entering on the curb and you're not running 100%, you're just going to get tight. You're going to go over it. The right rear ain't going to stick if you're just pussyfooting it around. I mean, it is what it is. You just got to go. Look at Macri and them guys. They're just ripping it. So you just got to – I had to find that balance of ripping it and being under control at the same time, because them guys are winning races. So you just got to get up on the wheel and do it.
So with your program, did you set goals for yourself this past season?
No, really, we struggled the year before, and like it was just like, all right, let's get a top 10, and then we got a couple of them. But as soon as we switched shocks and cars, it was like, wow, all right, that made a huge difference. And I was like, all right, now we can win races. And like when you start up front with them guys, I wasn't like down on myself, but you run third, even though you start on the pole, it's like, when are we gonna get this chance again? Like, you don't want to give up front rows, like, and finish third. But it all comes, and it's all learning experiences, is what you got to get out of it. And learned a lot running them couple races. And even when you just take something out of everything, even if you suck, you learn something. Most of the time when you suck, you try something and it makes it even worse. It compounds the problem, where you can figure out what it was. Like, oh, gotcha, that's what it was. We went to the All-Star race at the Grove this year at the beginning of April. We sucked terrible. I was like the last quick. So I was like, man, I got no stick. So we tightened the car up, and it made it even worse. I was actually too tight. I was throwing the car and unhooking the car. So it was like, oh, now it's making sense. Just little things like that, learning what the car's doing to help dial it in and help my uncle figure it out.
Something that jumped out to me there. So I think you hear this as like cliche, like, oh, you don't learn much running around the back, and you learn a lot more when you run up front. Did you have to change the way you drive and or learn differently when you started running up front with guys that are fast and experienced? Did you? I'm sure you learned something, but was it a big difference in how you raced and the speed of things, really?
Yeah, I would say it's like 3 different stages. Like, you run in the back, you learn to run with the weapons, and it's like dodge the darts with no feathers. And then you get to the middle, and it's a hornet's nest. Like, you got to be like, you're going every which way every 2 seconds, and which is good. It's it helps a ton when you get to lap traffic and stuff like that. Then when you get up front, it's like, all right, where is he going? Is he going the bottom? I got to go to the top. Or is he rolling the bottom 1 and 2? Maybe I can roll the middle and slide to the curb, or I can run the curb and get a run on him because he's going to go back to the top in 3 and 4, and I can slide him. It's a lot more methodical when you get up front compared to back there. Back there, you're just going wherever they're not.
And I assume if your car isn't right, that's hard to do.
it's
A little bit.
prime example. Dirt Classic. Macri took my front end out, went in, fixed the car, came out. I had a flat left rear, no front wing. Front axle was bent about 5 inches back. Still passed 2 cars, but that thing's going in. I'm like, here's a wheel. I'm like this, and it's coming off like this, and it's a disaster. Then you got cars going every which way. It's
like a Dakota Coon setup.
Dakota Coon setups. God, when the track's heavy, they are terrible. But man, when it slicks off, they're pretty good.
Chris, Jimmy, what do you got for Troy?
No, Jimmy took my question. I guess the only one I would have, Troy, what are your goals next year? Obviously, big season, new team, schedule wise, and what are your goals with that?
Our goals are we're talking just consistency, figure out that balance, and run top 10s, top 5s, and see where it goes. Hopefully, get more wins as it comes. It's gonna be new and something we're both gonna have to learn and see where it goes. But all knows we'll be racing every Friday and Saturday, and then mixture of Lincoln and Port, and then Baps and maybe Lernerville and New York and some other oddball stuff.
Right. So, are you racing points championship at the Grove, or just kind of seeing with the season how it kind of goes?
I haven't got told that. I just know it's every Friday and Saturday for now until something happens.
And then in the chat, go ahead, Jeremy.
No, go ahead.
I was saying in the chat, the one question was, are high limit races, are they something that you're trying to run? You said Lernerville, obviously Grandview.
Yeah, I know probably Bridgeport, Grandview, and Lernerville, them 3 for sure, that I know of for now. Obviously, things can change if you're wrecking or something stupid happens, but that's the plan for now.
And so with the 2 cars, the end of the season, we saw one had a black body, one had the white body. Is that kind of the plan for next year as well, to kind of keep that to separate the cars?
I don't know the paint scheme got right now. I know they're both going to be white. I don't know what the color scheme is going to look like. I'll know that more soon once Creasy gets some stuff done for John. I don't know 100%.
Okay. And early when you guys first jumped in this, both you and Cam, it was easy to tell you apart from the inside of the track because you had the light blue suit.
Yeah.
And he had the other color. So I knew which one was you at the beginning. Couldn't quite figure it out there for a minute. And then it got harder because you changed your suit to something else other than light blue at the end there, I think. Or you wore a different suit.
Yeah, I went back to white there.
Yeah, that didn't help. That didn't help
What
at all.
Jeremy's saying is don't do that.
I got yelled at because Dakota was yelling at me. He's like, "You're wearing a blue suit in a black or in a white and maroon car." So I went back to the white suit.
That's just Dakota's fault.
I get that. I get it.
Right.
But I think people would have given you a pass for the season, the rest of the year.
Everyone except for Dakota.
Except, that guy. Are you guys planning to run the icebreaker, the 2-day icebreaker deal?
Yeah, that's the plan.
Okay.
Start out unless the weather looks something stupid, and it's just like, why are we even racing? But yeah, that's the plan of now.
I think we always ask that every
There's
year.
a 95% chance the weather's going to look something stupid.
You know it's going to be like 65 and sunny. They're going to get lucky like that.
I hope so.
That'd be great.
I think everyone would love that.
And then it'll be snowing the next week.
Right.
Brett Allen chiming in here in the chat a little bit. Brett Strickler had as a guest last week. Guys mediocre, won a race and then didn't qualify the next week washed up. Wait, is he talking about himself? Because he didn't win though. He made his first feature 410 and then didn't make it the next week.
I don't even think that guy won a 358 race, did he?
2, not last year. He's won 2 in his career.
Mediocre.
2. Yeah, couldn't even finish a whole season with 358.
Right.
This guy.
He blows it up.
Troy, another question. So you ended the season working with Cam a little bit on a new 2-car team. How much different was a 2-car operation with a teammate versus what you were used to rolling an open trailer-wise?
It was actually, it didn't really change much. I bounced everything off Kevin, obviously, but I kind of worked with Kevin and my uncle. So, like, me and my uncle and a couple of my crew guys kind of handled the one, and then the other guys handled the other, and then we all kind of worked together. So it was kind of nice. We all had enough going on, but it was a little different. We bounced ideas off each other. Like early on, I had a ton of left rear drive, and so did he. Well, then I couldn't get off the right rear, and he still had tons of left rear drive. So we were like on opposite ends of feeling, and I was on twin tube shocks. He was on gas shocks, so it was everything was a little different. So, but we both got dialed in there. Both ran good at Bridgeport, I thought, and both ran good at Baps the last race. So it was good to take that in this year. And just so y'all know, me and Brett are friends. I'm not dissing him at all.
So last week we talked a little bit with both Brett and Kyle, and it's something that I've not gotten into, but I've noticed and I've watched over the years, and you hear stories and teams and things going well, things not going well, teams split, teams move, things change. Do you like right now it's fresh, it's new, it's great, but you kind of been with your uncle now for a long time and you guys communicate well, I think, for the most part. The times I've been around the pit area, other than if something's broken or whatever, don't seem too stressed out or whatever. I'm not there all the time, but this is a pretty big dynamic now, right? You got two drivers, you have the some folks that are already with the 39 team. You're bringing your uncle in. You're a pretty level-headed guy, pretty quiet for the most part at the racetrack. How do you think that'll be managed together? I mean, you and Cam are both young guys, right? You're going to face some adversity through this. This isn't going to, things aren't perfect. That can be challenging sometimes now, let alone with your uncle being kind of a guy who's worked on a car and with the Trone team having some history. How do you see that balancing itself out?
I think it's going to work good. Actually, me and my uncle and Kevin worked together on Pete's car, and they go way back. So
okay,
that kind of, my uncle helped get me into, he knew Kevin and everything, and Kevin came over and talked to us after I blew up. We were rolling out of the pits, and he came over and said, "Hey, you guys, we're going through some transition here. Do you want to run National Open?" So I was like, "Yeah, we'll be in contact." And my uncle and him talked that week, and it was actually the week before. We ran Lincoln before, so we got to run that. And but I think it'll go well. Obviously, it's going to be midsummer. You're running 2 nights a week. Someone's going to get mad. It's just sure. It's just how it rolls. It's
a lot of racing and a lot of laps and a lot of things that can happen. Is your worst fear now wrecking with Cam?
I think that'd be pretty fun. We were talking about that the other night.
The opposite of what I thought the response was going to be.
Not what we thought at all.
No, that's going to be kind of fun. I can't wait for it. Okay.
Obviously, I never want to wreck John's stuff. I respect the equipment, but it was like we should just wreck and have like a fake argument and get the fans all riled up. Like, oh man, they hate each other.
So you might sell enough to build a car and T-shirts.
And you might
I never thought
be able
to
sell it to John enough to not get in too much trouble.
Just knock a front end out of it; it'll be fine.
Speaking of T-shirts, will there be plans for merchandise next year?
We talked about it when we were at the shop Saturday, but we got some other stuff we have to get done first before we work on any of that. Just trying to figure out trailer situations and getting cars back. 2 new cars coming, building another one. So there's a lot going on before we get into that, but there was talk of it, yeah.
Are you sure merch isn't more important?
I'd rather go in search.
You can sell the merchandise without a trailer. I'm just saying.
Right.
I
mean, we
some,
have shirts that we could wear.
We can wear some Troy Wagaman apparel and get a merch fan. Got to have one of the merch fans.
Definitely a merch fan.
I'm just saying, as a fan, as a little bit, involved a little bit. I think that you guys both are young, upcoming drivers. Cam won a lot of races in 358. The Trone team's been around. They have a pretty decent following. That car is, like, in my opinion, iconic in Central PA. And you have a hell of a following. I think that you're one of the more popular guys out there right now, as far as you got a lot going good for you. And I think merchandise for a team, if y'all can figure out how to get all the logistics done with it and get it going, I think you have a big opportunity there, in my opinion. Not to go backwards, but Chase had a good following, and it really worked well in that car. And I think he did pretty well in merch that I think. But I think that you guys, as a group and as a team, have a lot of opportunity and some creative, cool things you could do. So hopefully you get that done, because I'm sure these guys, I'm in the middle of my screen, but these guys will buy some shirts. So
all those guys.
Everyone but Dakota can have one. That's
so don't have the schedule completely worked out yet, right? But you kind of have an idea. Have you thought about any goals for yourself for the year yet?
Won last year. I want more than that. So I'm just going to go out and win as many races as possible and see where it lands. I mean, obviously it's going to be tough. I mean, every week's tough. I mean, the Grove's tough, Lincoln's tough, Port's really tough. I've only run there a couple times and kicked my balls in, so it's a lot easier on iRacing. But
It's a different beast, isn't it?
and by the way, Cam winning 6 races in 1 year. It took me 3 years, so that's bullcrap. And but yeah, I think it'll go good, and hopefully get some merch for you guys.
Your time trial this year your time trials really improved this year. So we talked about the shocks a little bit, you talked about your program a little bit. What did you learn since you started in a 410 to this year that's made you such a good time trialer all of a sudden? What has helped you? Did you really change anything, or did the car just react better?
He gave me a really good car, obviously, but there's a lot of little things like first lap at Lincoln. When was it? Dirt Classic, maybe. No, it was the week before that. We timed really good. And the first lap, I ran like a 5, and I was balls to the wall, wide open, just ripping the top. The second lap, I moved down a half groove and just rolled out a little bit on entry and then back in, and I picked up 2.5 tenths. Even though the track's wide open, sometimes you don't need to be. As long as you're smooth and keep the wheels and just not be out of control, throwing the front end in there, and just a lot of that little things. And then setup was huge, and that makes me look good. So that's a big part of it also.
Yeah, so you go faster when you're not giving Jeremy what he needs for his pictures. Got it.
Yeah. Like that picture is awesome, but I thought I was going to drive into Tim Gladfelder's left rear like 7 times.
Yeah.
Right,
I'm
so-
like,
Can't see a thing.
we had a weird wing panel on that night, and I couldn't see out my right side anyway, and I couldn't steer, so it was pretty wild. And it was just like, he's out there somewhere.
I hope he's not right there.
I thought I cleared him like 16 times and just couldn't clear him, but I couldn't see it because my front end was off the ground. So,
Chris, what do you got? Anything?
I had just one question, something that popped in my head. Troy, if you had to pick one race to win the rest of your career, what would it be? I don't know, something that interests me.
oh, that's tough. I mean, Knoxville would be tough unless I have a lot of races there, but National Open just because it's close to home. I mean,
Grove's
Actually-
best track.
yeah, that was so good. Dirt Classic would be awesome too, but it's weird. I don't know the format. I don't know what it's going to be, but that race is always so tough. Wish they changed the format a little bit. Like, if you don't time good, they do like different points, but like it's impossible to gain anything if you don't time good. Like, yeah, they make it double points, but the gap's still the same. So it's like, it needs to be like passing points or something that you can earn it back if you don't time good. If you don't time in the top 25, like I timed third quick, wrecked in the heat, and I still was starting third in the B. Like I didn't even finish the second heat because we were changing front axle. So it's like, I wish they'd change that around, hopefully with the 2-day format, see what goes on. But that'd be a really cool race to win also.
My one question, the final question before we get you out of here, for me anyway. This past season, the night that you passed Freddie and then he dive bombed and destroyed Chris Arnold, if the roles were flipped, how would you handle that situation?
Oh,
This is a plead the fifth
That-
moment.
are you asking if I would destroy a guy for
Would
the
you
win?
throw the Would you have thrown that slider? How would you have handled that situation? With you were there, right? So I'm not like, hey, you were 15th and you didn't see it. You lived through a part of this. So like, in the same situation, if you had your guy Randy down, you got passed, and you have that situation in your hands, how would you handle that situation? Just clear the slider?
I don't think I could. There was no way you could have cleared that slider. Like, it was
That's
like,
right.
That's the answer Jeremy wanted.
like there's zero chance that works in any stratosphere. I probably would have went to the top or tried to chop myself,
Okay.
which I think he went for, but I was already there. But more
Right.
like I couldn't wreck a guy like that. Like, I don't even know how it was even close. But here's the moral of the story. That race made me sick because I was just riding around behind him. We were tight early. I knew I was gonna be tight, so I couldn't run the bottom yet. But once my fuel load burned off, I knew I'd be good. When we got the lap traffic, I was like, all right, we're good. Got underneath
Good
of
to
him,
go.
came off turn 2 past 3 lap cars. I was like, well, this race is over. And then Red came out. I'm like, what the? And then I was like, well, now I got to give that back. And then they read the restart lineup and they didn't say his number. I was like, yeah, this is over. And then he came back out, was in front of me, but that was a sickening night. I knew he was going to go to the bottom, and yeah.
Yeah, I think we all felt the same way after that. Like, we were watching that race and like, awesome. Let's go. Ran him down, passed him. We're good to
Troy,
go.
let's go.
And then we were like, oh no. You just knew it. Clean air, fresh
Yeah.
track. You just kind of knew it, unfortunately.
The bottom was so good. I knew it was going to be good, and I was just like, I just got to bide my time and not show my nose until I know I'm good and I can make it by him clear, because I didn't want to show him it because I knew it was going to be good. But
Right.
to run the top, you had to run it hard, but the curb was like this big. So like, I tried. I got to his right rear like 3 or 4 times, but it was just so hard to run the curb and how good the bottom was. But clean air was king that night. It was just so heavy.
Yeah. Jimmy, what do you got? You
I
good?
don't. Yeah, I'm good. I
right.
think that topic of conversation was a fire off segment in one of our previous podcasts.
Maybe.
I think that was Jeremy's fire
Maybe.
off. He went off for quite a few, maybe about 10 minutes or so.
If you check out my TikTok, I made a pretty funny video with that wreck scene. Just give it a look. It's pretty funny.
So what's your TikTok?
Well, I don't even know.
Yeah, we're gonna find it.
Come on, Troy.
And we're gonna link it up. We're gonna link that up because I want to go see this.
With the socials, Troy. Come on, man.
Dude, it's TW19.
There you go. So before we get you out of here, we want to do this for. We want to know. It's okay. I guess I didn't read the rules here. Mute your phone. Just kidding. You got a new deal coming along. You got. So actually, I want to ask this. So you blew up the motor last year at the end of the year. There, are you still building to put it back together at some point just to have it? What are your plans there?
Yeah, we so the Dirt Classic, obviously I got destroyed. So the hot car is brand new, pretty much. We had to put a whole new front axle in it, and still got that. And then our other car is fixed, and it's not together, but we have all the parts for it. And then a new block and a new crank's like 11 grand, and that's just the 2 basic pieces. So we got them on order, and then we'll go from there and see what money we can save, and obviously build it back up. We can either sell it, or if I need it in the future for some dumb reason, we have it. So it's just we broke a main cap in the block, and it cracked it right down the center and sent the crank out the front. So it's no good.
I was sick that night watching it. It was during time trials, beginning of the night, and it just like shut off and came in, and I happened to be in the pits when you came in, man. I felt sick knowing, because you all knew when you opened it up what you're probably going to find.
I knew right away. It was like, I just was hoping it wasn't as bad as what it was. So. And
it was. So we'll get you out of here, man. I appreciate your time. We almost held you up for an hour. We could do this. I love this stuff, so I appreciate you coming on. Who do you have to thank, man? Like you spent a lot of time. There's not been a lot of sponsors on that white 19. I think we all secretly, not even secretly, we've all talked about it. Like, we wanted you to get an opportunity. I don't know if there's anybody out there that said Troy isn't ready for an opportunity, but we also said, man, he's got such a good deal going with his own team that we would love to be able to see him get the funding to support your own team and keep that rolling. But this is working out great. So who do you have to thank that got you here and moving forward?
I gotta thank my uncle over Bechtel. He told me everything I know to work on him, because we're working on it. Every night I go to the shop every night that they're there, and taught me everything to help propel me and give me a good car. And then all my sponsors this year: Pat Brenneman, Nick's Garage, all them guys helped out this year on that car. Obviously, it's all white, so it wasn't many, but I appreciate everyone that did help. All of my family, Aaron, Greg, my grandma. All of them helped out. It's a lot that goes into it. And I got to thank John Trone for giving me an opportunity this year, and Kevin Fry and Barry and Tom, everyone on that crew, and Cam and my uncle for coming along to help out. It's going to be good.
Happy birthday, Aaron Stahl, by the way. So it's his birthday today. Big
Aaron,
A.
Happy birthday, Aaron. If you're listening. I think he's at dinner.
Will Battlefield Vodka be on the car next year?
Yeah, I think I'm got to learn everything on that end of the deal. I got to thank all them. Any sponsor helps on that car, but I'll learn that going forward.
Got a little bit of time. So I believe that is that the place that has a little stand at Lincoln? They have a stand outside turn 2.
I think so. Don't.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is, because I've had the slushies, like when I'm
you're
wandering
drunk
around
that
the
night,
track.
right?
Well, I never drunk with a pit pass, my guy. Never. It wouldn't do that. So, but I have had a few of the slushies when it's been, it was hot at the track, wandered around the pits, coming back around and grab a slushie on the way back to the infield. Buddy, those things are top notch. So
I think you were talking about it in the group chat the other night how good they are.
I was, absolutely was, because I think Dakota was talking about it.
Can confirm Jeremy's always in the infield in turn 3 and 4.
This is turn 2. Come on.
Yeah, well, it's
turn
only
2,
at Port
Royal.
Everywhere else is turn 3 and 4. So we have a crisis. It's fine.
It is. It's an internal struggle.
Yeah. I was gonna say, and then in Williams Grove, we're always on the backstretch.
Yes, I've
So
been
At the
how
there.
does that-
entry of 3.
Not quite 3.
Not
Not
quite
quite.
3,
Not quite.
but
So I
like
think that-
almost.
You got the same spot. I can see your foot marks when I was down there where you stand every week.
100%. Troy, appreciate you having us, joining us, I should say. Appreciate you joining us, man. We're kind of up and coming here, and we want to get you guys on that, bring the fan base with you to our podcast and learn about us a little bit, and so hopefully some new fans that don't know you guys and come out, buy some merch, come out, watch a sprint car race if they've never been to one, and catch it all the local tracks this year, man. I'm so excited for you, dude. Looking forward to seeing you out there, and hopefully we'll see you at the Icebreaker.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys. Hope to have me on again if you guys are bored and need someone
we'll-
boring like me. I'll be on.
We'll
And,
have you on because
Absolutely,
you
my guy.
You said you're racing Williams Grove, and I'm there every week. So boom.
Come on down.
We'll do some
Ryan
live
Smith
interviews.
Ryan Smith and I be down there with you every night.
If any
The
of you have
real Ryan Smith?
if any of you guys got iRacing, Wednesday night, Flat Out Sim Series. Dakota just told me
There
in
you
the
go.
chat to make sure you run. I have my own
Flat
league
Out
with
Sim
Dakota, so 7:30, Lincoln, 410s. Come have fun.
Oh.
Hey, let's go.
Hey.
Hey, thanks
Thank
so
you,
much
Troy.
for joining us, Troy. Good luck next year. Excited to see what you're gonna do, and good luck.
Thank you, man.
And have a
Appreciate
happy
you guys.
holidays.
You too.
Yes.
We'll
that
see
too,
you on
man. I guess that's
iRacing
coming up. See you, buddy. Take care.
later.
All right. Thank you, Troy, for joining us. That was an awesome conversation. We're gonna take about a 2-minute break here, and we'll be right